Shalom Party People, and welcome to the 12th sea. Oh, it is approximately 5:14, 5:13, something like that, on a beautiful crisp morning, out for a ruck march, 64 pounds in the rucksack, and then wearing my plate carrier. You probably can't see it too good in the dark, but it's there. 18 pounds on the plate carrier, give or take. So we're rocking, 82 pounds total. First time doing a ruck march with the plate carrier. Got the light of a mostly full moon, and just running around, hanging out solo this AM. JD Stone may be back at some point, who knows, but he's off doing his to-do list, which is much more important than this right now, and rightfully so. So you can ask him what he's up to if that so intrigues you. No headphones right now, so apologize for any inconsistencies in the audio. Just rocking the sideways-eyed foam mic. That housekeeping stuff out of the way. Body armor questions, in case you've been wondering. Yes, I've been working out in a 18-pound vest. Not that, or I don't know, about a week or so, give or take. Hey, 12th Sea Conditioning, did you do some sort of live stream not that long ago where you were raising money for that charity, and then you were also gonna try and get some body armor for a school resource officer? Why, yes, thank you so much for asking that question. This is not that body armor or anything to that effect. I was raising money for that charity. That charity is called Kaleb House. I will link them down in the top of the description. You should totally go check them out. They are a juvenile restoration facility for victims of human trafficking, and it's the nice way of saying that they take kids who have been serially raped and put them back together. And there is basically very, very few organizations that are actually on that restoration side of the rehabilitation from human trafficking, specifically juvenile human trafficking. So I would go look into them. There's only a couple of other organizations that actually spend time putting kids back together. And the thing I like about Kaleb House is there is no time limit on their program. A lot of other restoration facilities are at 6 months or a year before they tell the kids have a nice life. And to look a 6-year-old in the face and say, hey, you're all better now, don't get raped again, have a good life, it just doesn't sit well with me. So I would rather groups like Kaleb House, who will take care of the kids for as long as necessary. And if that's for life, that's for life. If that's for 2 or 4 or 5 or 10 years, cool. But 100% go check out Kaleb House. Their top link in this description. Anyway, back on the body armor stuff. That body armor that we were trying to do, Mr. Bug Out Bob Actual had made the statement that if we had gotten 10 people on the live stream to donate to Kaleb House during that live stream, that he was gonna, out of his own funds, purchase a redemption tactical plate carrier, just the plate carrier, not the armor to go in it. And that I was gonna have the opportunity to give that to a local school resource officer. That's something I would still like to do, but we will brainstorm a little bit on ideas to raise funds for that. And so if you would like to contribute, I'm gonna figure out a way to contribute some of my own funds and see what we can do for a local school resource officer. It'd be cool if we could do it in the next couple of months. So we can brainstorm a little bit, probably more to come about that in the foreseeable. All right, so body armor questions that you may have. Shifting all of that over to the side. So body armor questions that you may have. What is the plate carrier that I'm wearing, which you really can't see too good in the dark, especially since it's a black plate carrier. Dark ugly in the morning. Well, what I'm wearing is from ar500.com. 100% that it's made in, Vietnam or Cambodia or the Philippines or Malaysia or China or whatever. Don't know. Honestly, don't care. I bought this years ago when I thought that body armor was, something that I had to have. It was one of those that, I was believing that body armor was going to become illegal for civilians to buy because one of the recent shooters or something to that effect wore body armor. And so I was like, oh, they're going to use this as a chance to make body armor illegal, which they may still do. I don't know. But these are the level 3+ whatever plates or something to the effect that AR-500 cells that they claim will stop the 62 grain penetrators out of a 16-inch barrel from a 5.56. Whoopty. Right now, it's a weighted vest. So for training purposes, if you are interested in, a weighted vest, there are definitely more cost-effective options. You can buy a adjustable weight vest from Walmart for not that much money. I have no idea how good it is. I've never tested it out. I was convicted about a week ago to break this bad boy out and start training with it. Not because I think that I need to train with my body armor, but this has been collecting dust for a while. And I've put it on and done some things with it, but nothing consistently and nothing recently. So that is kind of where I stand on that one. Bear Independent has a phenomenal video on why you don't need body armor. And not that you can't own body armor or shouldn't own body armor. It's just that, have you actually done the logistics of what it takes to actually need body armor? And then, okay, what are you going to do for all of the support end on the back end of the needing of body armor? Lot more in depth on that video, and I will link that down in the description as well. And for somebody who's never needed to wear body armor in their life, I think that opinion that Mr. Bear Independent has is a very, very valid one. If you're in a job that requires you to wear body armor, or if you're a high-profile individual that, assassination could be around the corner or whatever, yeah, different conversation for a different day. But I don't remember what I spent on this vest, but I know it was too much. And I know that it's money that I could have put on other things. So I could have bought a lower cost training vest with some lower cost weight in it for the same, weight to comfort return on this bad boy, and actually had something worth training in and moving on. If you're just desperate to have a plate carrier, Condor will sell you one for not that expensive. And you can buy some cheap steel plates and toss them in. I would spring for the multi-curve, just because the multi-curve feature will be a lot more comfortable against you. Otherwise, you could just drop, the little sandbags with the little lead weights in the training vests that are adjustable weight and get a lot more bang for your buck, in my opinion, on what you're going to do. But a couple of things of note of why I'm really not the biggest fan of body armor anymore. Number one, it's heavy. Train hard, train smart. That's what I'm doing right now. But I'm doing this for the conditioning of additional weight train than I am of, trying to get comfortable in my body armor so that way I can be a super cool operator and do the things. Okay, cool. I want to never have to wear my body armor. I don't want to be in situations where I'm getting shot at, because if I'm getting shot at, something's going wrong. I'm not going to wear this body armor every day, every place I go. That's just not going to happen. So practicality wise, why am I going to run around with 18 pounds? of weight that I just don't need, except for that very, very slim possibility in a true worst case scenario. And it's so heavy that, you know, it'll eventually get left at home and it's just no good anymore. So, you know, you can every day carry whatever you want, but if it's too heavy to carry, it's no good. There's a lot of people with handguns that, you know, they start with a master blaster and then they're like, well, I can't wear it with this, so I'm not going to. And well, I can't wear it with this, so I'm not going to. And then they end up leaving it at home and not carrying anything. And wouldn't it be better, in my opinion, to instead of a full-size master blaster that you can only wear with a couple outfits, you know, have something that is comparable that's a little bit smaller. You know, I'm an advocate for the G19 platform, but it really doesn't matter. It's just, if it's comfortable and you'll carry it every day, then boom. And if that G19 platform is too big for you, then, you know, find something else that you will consistently carry every day. It's also why I'm a big fan of the PHLster Enigma. I will link that video in the description as well, because that has opened up some of the more fun carry options for me that I can consistently carry all the time. I'm not going to consistently carry all the time for body armor. It's just not going to happen. I'll work out with it, and for the time being, I'm going to work out with it as much as I can. I've been wearing it once or twice a day for a minimum of 45 minutes just to, you know, get some additional training. And it's good because it's even just walking, that's more calories burned than not, just because of the added weight. Running, I mean, it's kind of miserable to run in this, but it's working muscles harder than they would have worked otherwise, which is good. It's making this ruck more challenging. It took me 30 minutes this morning to figure out how this was going to integrate with the backpack. And that's something else, is training with your stuff. If you have the possession of the body armor, but you never train with it, you know, that's just really not doing you any good. Like, there's people who maybe will LARP a little bit in their body armor every once in a while. And that's more than not, which is cool. But do you really understand how your gear is all working together and having your gear, you know, fit the situation that you're going into? And so the decision of body armor or no body armor can really throw off how your gear interfaces. I can tell you that it changed how this backpack interfaced, just because of how things were set up. And that was, you know, a consideration that I knew was going to be a little bit different, but I didn't realize it was going to be, you know, 20, 30 minutes different. So it was something that definitely played into. The other thing behind the body armor is the whole threat protection side of things. So everybody's all like, okay, I want super threat protection for my body armor. Okay, well, unless you're made of money, level 4 plates, which will stop 30-06 armor penetrating rounds, and you'd have to spring extra if you want the multi-hit capability on that. But 30-06 armor penetrating rounds, cool. You want to stop that. All right, the amount of trauma protection that you will need from that. You get shot with 30-06 AP into a plate. I don't care how good that plate is. You are going to have some serious trauma backing that up. So you're going to have some really good trauma pads behind it, or your rib cage is going to be shattered, if not just severely damaged. And you're running into punctured lung territory where you could still die from being shot and just it'd be a trauma, blood force trauma incident instead of a penetrating, you know, explosive wound trauma. So you're picking a slower death at that point. And then, like I said, unless you're just made of money, those level 4 plates that you buy are going to be incredibly heavy. What I'm running right now is 18 pounds. That's 3 magazines that are fully loaded with the vest, with the plates. And I don't have level 4, I have level 3 plus, which level 3 plus is not a real standard. It's just kind of an industry thing that people claim, hey, this is what it will stop. So you're kind of basing that off of a claim and not off of any science that backs it, which Housekeeping Hill has a really good video on why the science behind those plate ratings are BS. And basically he's explaining in that how people are just giving a whole bunch of money to the government, but they don't really trust the government anyway. So it's kind of speaking out of both sides of your mouth on that one. But anyway, the decision I made on this one, the logic that I had way back when was, okay, I'm gonna buy the level 3 plus, because statistically what I would run into is, somebody with a 16-inch barrel and 62 grain green tip rounds. Okay, cool. Well, what about somebody who's got a 20-inch barrel and 55 grain? That's going fast enough, it guarantee will go through this 100 yards or less. So for that 16-inch barrel, that's the commonality of you run into somebody running that, boom, goes through it every time. Here's something nobody wants to talk about. 243 with a solid grain with a solid copper grain projectile will go right through level 3 without any issue. And there's a lot of level 4s that it will go through. Because that 243 at a max load with the solid copper projectile is just screaming when it's coming out. And they're like, whoa, what's the likelihood that you'll run into a solid copper projectile? Scott Munitions sells that load of max availability to civilians. That solid copper projectile tumbles on impact. But when it hits something hard like steel or ceramic, it just hits hard. And it is screaming because it's stupid light, lighter than the lead projectiles that are out there, and it doesn't deform like lead. It's a tumbling round, but if it strikes that hard surface, it's going to be a penetrator because that's solid copper. And that is a commercially available round that has not had any flack behind it because there's no lead in the projectile. So the anti-lead hunting crowd actually endorses that round. And Fort Scott Munitions is a small enough manufacturer that they really haven't been targeted. So that's something that people run into all the time. The other thing is that people running around in body armor for protection during, poop hitting the fan or whatever, they don't take into effect of how many just generic hunting rounds will go through that body armor. And that's assuming that you get shot in the body armor. That's assuming, whatever's going on. Because of the proliferation of body armor that is out there right now, I mean, it's a dime a dozen for what's out there. So you have a lot of people who are training to shoot people in the pelvic girdle, or who are specifically training headshots. So that body armor, you're not going to wear body armor on your face, and you're not going to wear body armor that goes past your belly button. And if you actually use your body armor, you're not going to wear body armor that really goes too far past your xiphoid process. So you're just covering up your lungs. That's really about it. So that whole rant on body armor, I'm not trying to say don't buy it, but I'm trying to say prioritize. And this lived in my closet for years, and it was good money that could have been spent on other things. And so now I'm just trying to justify that purchase by actually training with it, using it, and getting into better shape, conditioning myself behind it. Knowing what I know now, I would have been much better served by buying a chest rig, and I could load weight in that and train it, and it's actually training with my gear, because that chest rig has a lot more utility behind it and what could be used, what it should be used for, all those good things. So take all that into consideration if you haven't purchased body armor yet. look into a good chest rig. Haven't tried it out yet. I would like to, but I haven't tried it out yet. The Sojourn Gear saw rig, that one is supposed to be the bee's knees, and I've handled one. I just haven't tried it on. I haven't worn it yet, but it's something that I would like to get my hands on one and like to play around with. But there's a lot of other good chest rigs out there, so that would probably better serve you. And if you really want to train with a weighted vest, I would look into a cheap adjustable weight load-bearing vest. And then after you wear that one out, you can look into replacing it with something that is a lot more form-fitting, that does the things that you want it to do. Those would be the areas that I would look into. Go do hard things.